Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Jason Maganoy, and I am the publisher of Canadian Business. And so we invite a different CEO to be in residence with us every quarter. It's called the Canadian Business Leadership Circle. We talk about all things career, business, innovation. And today we are with the new CEO of UHN Foundation, Julie Quenneville. I'm going to start by saying your bio because it's incredible, but Quenneville began her career as a journalist before transitioning to a decorated career in the healthcare sector. She served as Associate Chief of Staff to the Quebec Minister of Health before joining McGill University Health Centre, MUHC, where she worked in a number of roles before becoming CEO of MUHC Foundation in 2015. In 2023, Quenneville became CEO of UHN Foundation, where she joins the #1 hospital in Canada in its mission to change the status quo of healthcare. Quenneville has been named one of Canada's most powerful women, one of Concordia University's top 50 under 50, winner of the Women We Admire Award in 2023, and received the Medal of the Quebec National Assembly. She has served as chair of the Banff Forum and is a member of the executive committee of the 2024 President's Cup. And that is the event. That is the Fireside Chat.
Thank you so much, Jason.
Thank you so much for joining us. So my first question is, it's a hard-hitting question, but how are you liking Toronto?
I love the city. It really is incredible. I don't like the traffic, I have to say, but I love the sports teams, the cultural industry, the aquarium is incredible, the zoo. University Avenue, I mean, the exceptional hospitals lined up on University Avenue. It really is an incredible city, and I'm so happy to have an opportunity to live here.
I love that. You had an incredible career. So tell us about your career and what brought you to UHN Foundation.
Well, as you mentioned, Jason, I started off as a journalist, and I really wanted to change the world. I thought that by reporting on some of these major national and international stories that things would happen and things would change. And I got very frustrated that things were not evolving as rapidly as I would like them to see. And so I decided to jump into politics and government and actually be involved in the solutions. And I was really inspired at the speed at which you could actually transform society when you bring incredible people together with the same common goal. And it really, some of the opportunities that I had while I worked in government, working on mental health files and anti-tobacco laws. On the Shriners campaign, we had a wonderful battle with Ontario at that time, which I led nationally. We did win, which I have no regrets joining and crossing the border. But it was an inspiring few years for me because it did prove you're naive when you're young and you really want to be able to change the world. And when I was in government, I really did feel like we did make a positive impact. I then moved on to healthcare in the hospital sector. So if you think about it, I was working at the policy level, and now I had an opportunity to get really at the ground level and reimagine academic medicine. As McGill was beginning to build a new hospital, we wanted to make sure that we left the old problems behind and we invested in what is the role and responsibility of academic medicine. And so I had an opportunity at that point to really think that through and to be involved in the hospital management. What is frustrating in hospital management, besides the bureaucracy, is the lack of funding for really big ideas. And if you think about it, in an academic setting, our job, our responsibility is to evolve medicine. Good physicians, they will apply the medical books. Great physicians working in an academic and a research hospital, they are continuously rewriting the medical books. But there's absolutely no way they can do that without the support and the generosity of the community, because philanthropy is really the only source of funding for those big ideas. And once the research is proven, then the granting agencies, they kick in and they support the research. And so that is one of the main reasons, Jason, that inspired me to move into philanthropy, because I always used to laugh that we bring the optimism to healthcare because we have that ability to support those the excellence and the innovation. I had no intention. I wasn't seeking to leave Montreal at the time, but the opportunity to join the #1 hospital in the country and the #1 publicly funded hospital in the world was one I just could not pass up. And so I joined UHN back in August. And I have to tell you, the science that is happening at that hospital is even well beyond my own expectations. I mean, I knew how great it was from years of trying to move from the second place spot to the first place spot, which was unachievable for us in Montreal. I have been absolutely blown away at every meeting I've had with our clinical leads.
So, I mean, to go from journalism to policy to philanthropy, what role did mentorship play in your career? And what was the best piece of career advice you ever received?
Mentors are absolutely essential. They were essential in my life, and I've had many. I've been very blessed. There was one mentor who really brought me from journalism to politics, and promoted me, because that's one of the most important parts of having a mentor. We often have a confidence challenge, and we look at these great positions that we dream of stepping into and having an opportunity to serve. But it can be terrifying, and we start to look at the list of roles and responsibilities and say, can I really do this? Am I ready? And my mentors have not only suggested me for roles, but they've also, for many parts, actually convinced me that I was ready to take those roles on, and have supported me along the way. If I'm thinking about some of the best advice they have given me at different parts of my life, well, find many mentors, because as your career and your life evolves, your needs evolve. And for women, I think it's important to have female and male mentors. And, interestingly enough, when I was contemplating moving from Montreal to Toronto with 2 teenagers, a lot of my female mentors said, oh, that sounds like a lot. And all of the male mentors said, no doubt you can do this, you have to jump. And so again, really important to have many people in your life giving you advice. One of the funniest and actually most impactful advice I received in my career, I was at a turning point in my career and trying to determine what direction to go into. I had a few opportunities that were quite different, including staying in healthcare and exiting. And I phoned a female CEO in Montreal who I had interacted with a lot and had a whole lot of respect for, Jason. And she picked up the phone and didn't even ask me what was going on in my life. She said, listen, Julie, I never baked any cookies for my son and he's just fine. And that sounds like maybe a silly piece of advice, but at that time when I had very young children, and I know, Jason, you are going through that yourself, there's a moment where you say, oh, wow, can I really take on that next level in business and still be a good parent and still be there at home? And what she was trying to say is, you can. And we went back into great detail of how to have it all as a parent. And the way you can do it is that you need to have some help. And that's sometimes very difficult for us parents. It takes a community to raise children, and it is okay to ask for help to do things around the house that you enjoy a little less, and to be able to achieve your career ambitions while being a really good parent.
Wow. I mean, I really do love that advice, though, about having as many different voices as possible, trying to contribute and offer insight. So I've been familiar with UHN Foundation for a very, very long time. But I just recently learned that you're the #1 hospital in Canada and the number one publicly funded in the world. And that's part of the big important part of the UHN Foundation rebrand, United. So tell us about that. Like, why did you do it? And what is sort of what's the point of view? What's the thesis of this rebrand?
Yeah, coming from Montreal and the McGill system, we were well aware that UHN was #1 in Canada, #1 in the world. I was a bit surprised coming into the city that people were not talking about that as much as they should, because it's an immense sense of pride, especially the #1 publicly funded hospital in the world. Think about what that really means and the global responsibility. I mean, the physicians who work here, they could work anywhere in the world, and they stay for 2 reasons. They stay because we fund their innovation through philanthropy, and 2, because they actually really believe in the publicly funded healthcare model. They believe that it works. They believe that the fact that we are caring for our most vulnerable in the same places as we are caring for our wealthiest Canadians is important as our values. And so we have a responsibility, we have a global responsibility to continue to demonstrate that you can continuously reimagine healthcare, that you can innovate. You know, we are responsible for more than 5,000 globally renowned medical discoveries each and every year right here at UHN. I mean, that's huge. And we're doing that in a publicly funded model, but we're doing it because we have philanthropy and because our community cares enough to be able to support those big ideas and that innovation. So the whole idea of the United campaign was to share that pride that we built this. This is not the government did not build UHN the way it is today. It built our institutions, and we're grateful for that. But the quality of the work that is happening within this institution is all because of the mobilization and the engagement of our community. And we should all be proud of what we've built, but we should also protect it. And so that is an important aspect of it. Philanthropy also ensures that we can continue to remain in that top spot. If we suddenly become lazy about it and say, we are the best, and so we don't need to fund that anymore, well, what happens to that top talent that we have worked so hard to recruit? We won't retain them. They will exit and make 3 times their salaries in the United States.
So, I mean, one of the, I don't even know if it's a misconception, but I just assume you mentioned the public system. I just assumed it was all government. So I just assumed it was all government funding healthcare and they need to do more. So my question is, it sounds like philanthropy is incredibly important. So how does philanthropy drive better healthcare in Canada?
Yeah, how does it drive innovation, right? We're speaking to people who are working in business, and that's what they're thinking about all the time. How do we build growth? How do we build innovation? How do we build an agile corporation? In healthcare, the government is responsible for providing quality healthcare across the board. Now, is quality enough for you, Jason? Is it enough for your family, or do you want excellence? Do you want to have the best? I get a lot of calls from different people who say, I've been diagnosed, or my parents have been diagnosed with, and I want to know who is the best. I want to see the best. No one's ever said, I want to see a surgeon who's done it every once in a while, right? We want to see the best. So if you think about it, the government will pay for the surgery, but a really exceptional, and I'll take a surgeon because it's easy for us to understand, a really exceptional surgeon will also do research and teaching on the side. They will continuously innovate. They will work with engineers to come up with new tools to do better surgeries. They will build simulators so that they can train their students in a more efficient way. They will work with AI specialists to be able to figure out how do we use, because we're doing this now, Jason, in our surgical buildings, how do we use all that, the data that we collect throughout every surgery when we're using robotics? What are we going to do with all of that incredible data? And how do we use AI to determine what is the difference between a good surgeon and an exceptional surgeon? Because now, thanks to technology, we can do that. So that's the big difference. So you think about it from a budget perspective. You will get our researchers, our clinician scientists will apply for grants when they have an idea. But that seed funding to even develop the proof of concept for their big ideas, that is 100% philanthropy. So how do you apply for a grant for a concept on a research project if you didn't have any proof of funding, proof of concept funding? And so there's a difference, right? You think about technology. The big new technology when it comes on the market and it is not yet available in the Canadian system. Well, philanthropy comes in and allows us to invest, to bring in that brand new technology, and then we produce reports and help the government make the right decisions about the technology that should be used across the country. Perfect example is the surgical robot today, which has revolutionized surgery. We brought in the very first surgical robot in the country and through philanthropy, and we demonstrated to the government that they were that the surgeries would be much more efficient, and patients would go home much faster, and the outcomes would be much, much better. And so now the government is paying for not only, in some cases, the purchase, but the operating budget to this incredible equipment.
Wow. So it sounds like philanthropy. There's a first one in kind of a thing with philanthropy, which sounds amazing. But is philanthropy itself, is it not ready for disruption too? Like like how have donors changed? And you mentioned all of this incredible technology in healthcare. How is technology changing how people give?
For sure, our industry has changed immensely in the last 2 decades. You know, if you think about a traditional fundraising used to be that we would send you a letter at home and you would respond, you would open your mail and you would send in a nice check. And local families were much more attached to institutions as a concept rather than thinking through what they're investing in. They would believe in the institutions and contribute to them. Today, we have a unique opportunity to speak directly to the community and not rely solely on traditional media to be able to speak with them. We can use social media, we can use podcasts, we can speak to people where they are in the language that they want to speak with us. And it's an incredible opportunity for us to also speak to the younger generation. They are unbelievably passionate about healthcare. So that's a big trend that has come in the last decade. We've seen a huge shift that it's not just their parents, that they really are very interested in finding out how they can live a healthier life and how they can live forever in some cases. And so for us, using technology to be able to speak to patients and families and the community in general is a unique opportunity. And also people want to see impact now, Jason. That's the biggest shift. That's the biggest trend in the industry is our donors, our community, they want to meet the clinician scientists. They want to meet the surgeons. They feel emotionally connected to the work that is being done, that they are financially supporting. And that's absolutely wonderful. They ask questions. They celebrate successes with us, and you know, when research doesn't go in the direction that we want it to, they also celebrate those moments because we learn a lot from that as well.
Wow. So, I mean, it sounds like, you know, there's more of a, there's not, it sounds like there's more transparency. There's more like looking at things like ROI when it comes to the investment you do in healthcare. But that ability to sort of leverage technology to find more people and scale your story and have as wide a net as possible, I think sounds phenomenal. When it comes to healthcare philanthropy, I always think like it typically starts with a personal connection. Like I give to UHN Foundation because my sister had brain surgery at Toronto Western. And the angle of United seems to be focusing on innovation in the future. So why do you think that's an important angle for your fundraising?
Yeah, your sister's story is such a great example, Jason, because when you get that kind of diagnosis, you feel unbelievably vulnerable. The family feels incredibly vulnerable. You are really at the mercy of the disease and at the mercy of the wonderful people who are caring for you. Philanthropy is a unique, incredible opportunity to take back that power. You are standing up as a family and you are pushing back against disease. And you are helping your caregivers, and you become a team, and you're investing in better diagnostics for that disease and research to ensure that we can cure it for the future. And so those moments are really important in a care model. Everybody gives for a different reason. Patients and their loved ones, they give. Sometimes it's just to say thank you to the unbelievable people who care for them. Sometimes they want to find a cure and they want to work with us towards that. And sometimes it's also simply as mode of engagement. People want to do something exceptional. They want to be part of an incredible movement. And we do hope that they will choose United because it is optimistic. You know, we read a lot of negative stories in the media about healthcare. We're really focused in on the positive element of healthcare. We have built an incredible system in Ontario and Toronto and this country. And we have a lot to be proud of, but we do need to mobilize together, make sure that we can continue to invest and grow and be mobilized together.
That is one of the things that I really love about the program, how aspirational it is. And you touched upon it, this idea of the 5,000 innovations a year, that's a lot. So my next question is, so what are your plans for 2024? Give me five. Give me five as opposed to the
Just
5,000.
five, Jason.
No, but like, but what are your like? So What can we expect from UHN Foundation this year?
Yeah. So on the foundation side, we are working really hard on engagement with the community. And we would like to inspire our community leaders or community members to join our movement. You know, every dollar that is donated into healthcare makes a huge difference. Think about it. Let's think about, you know, 1 million people contributing $100 and the impact that that has in terms of healthcare innovation. It is hugely impactful. And so for the first time, we are going to be creating opportunities for the community to be working with us and uniting with us towards that common cause of reimagining healthcare and investing in innovation. From a hospital perspective, we have 3 areas of main focus for the coming year. And the first one is, you may have seen that the government of Ontario announced a budget to be able to build a brand new surgical tower. Really, really excited about that surgical tower. It will revolutionize surgery in a neighborhood that really needs it. So Toronto Western, of course, where your sister received her care. And so we have neurosurgery, the top neurosurgeons in the world are working out of that building. Orthopedics, incredible work happening in orthopedics and general surgery. And so this will be a 15-floor. The construction is about to start, and we are going to be bringing surgical robots, MRI, augmented reality. It'll be incredible for innovation and technology. The foundation has agreed to raise $300 million towards that to purchase the high-tech equipment that we are really excited about bringing into surgery. So that's one area where the foundation and the hospital are really teaming up. Number 2 is commercialization. Now, again, you know, in business, we really need to be able to keep our Canadian discoveries in Canada. We have historically, as Canadians, unfortunately, sold off our innovations very rapidly for very little, usually to Americans, and then we buy back the products once they're commercialized. We can do so much better, and UHN has done very, very well. It's one of the top hospitals in North America, actually, for commercialization, but we want to do even better than that. And so, so we will be investing in ensuring that we can build more innovation with the possibility of commercialization, and then building a community with our investors to make sure that we can then spin off those discoveries and keep them within the country. So that's a big top priority for Foundation and Hospital. And then the third one, Jason, is artificial intelligence. You know, UHN announced a few months ago that it was creating an artificial intelligence hub, and hired the first AI scientist in a hospital setting, Bo Wang, who is exceptional. And I think you've spoken with Bo before. The foundation is investing heavily in creating this AI hub because it will revolutionize healthcare in general. I know there's a lot of negativity around AI, but in healthcare, it has the potential to really impact about 25% of the work that we do. And some of the work that Bo, I think, has shared with you is really revolutionizing and reducing the bureaucracy and the paperwork so that humans can think and do what they do best, is care for our patients. And that's what we want to do.
So those are huge. Those are like the surgical center, commercialization, an AI hub. That's incredibly busy. That's a lot of work. So it takes me to my final question, which is, you know, there are young people out there who are going to be listening to this. They want to be a CEO themselves. So they want to be this busy. They want to be this busy. They want to be a CEO themselves one day. What are 3 pieces of advice that you would give them to help them get there?
The first one I would say is, whatever project we give you to do a really good job, right? It is deliver. I was always known as the person you would give a problem to and I would solve it. And I've always prided myself on getting things done. That's really important. 2 is get out of the office and develop a network, because it actually is important. It may not be important today in your job, but it will be important in your future. And the network that you build comes back throughout your life and your career. We already talked about finding mentors. I know I'm at 3, Jason, I'm not very good with rules, as you probably have noticed by now. The other one is have a plan. look at the CEO job descriptions, your dream CEO job, and look at what they are looking for. What is the experience they're looking for? What are the values that they're looking for, and develop them? Because it's less important to focus on reaching that top job than being ready for the top job. Because once you reach the CEO position, you have to make tough decisions, so you better be ready. And finally, Jason, if you'll allow me, I'd also add this: live by your values, because that is important. Throughout your career, you're going to look back and you want to be proud that in the ebbs and flows, because there are ups and downs in everyone's careers and our lives, that you can truly look back and say that I've always lived by my values and I've done what I am most passionate about. And I'm proud of the results and the impact that I've had.
So that is really, really good advice. Like it's so clear. So I'm it's like I'm gonna drop everything and start doing that right now. Um, but Julie, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. Um, it sounds like so many incredible things are coming up for UHN Foundation, and obviously, uh, we're seeing a lot of United out in market. We're getting a sense of some of these incredible stories. I can't wait to learn more and see more. Um, but thank you again for taking the time for joining us.
Well, thank you so much for the invitation, Jason.